Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Objective as we are entering the last week of the year. Today is the final Thursday of 2021. There's never going to be another one like it. And we are reviewing the past year. A lot to talk about. We're specifically focusing on the sort of so-called objectosphere, people interested in Ayn Rand and objectivism and various personalities and philosophical movements or mini movements around it. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be, naming some of our favorites, sort of giving awards out here. And we have quite a full house today. It is a wonderful episode. I can tell you that already. So let's go through who we've got. First off, you've got the co-host from Greece itself. He was born not far from Aristotle. And if I were a less rational man, I would say he is a reincarnation of the former. Please welcome Nikos Sotirakopoulos.
Hi, everyone. Looking forward to the Objectivist Awards. We can even make it a tradition if it's a fun episode. Every year, one day before New Year's Eve, we give the Objectivist Oscars of the year.
Let's take it 1 year at a time there. Let's take it one day at a time. That's what we say. All right. Anyway, but nice. That's a nice idea. And then we've got a guy who, you know him well. He's been killing it on TV talk here on the network. He's also on American Rust, not to be mistaken with the Alec Baldwin film, whose release date I'm not currently up to date on. I really shouldn't joke about that. I'm sorry. It's Mark Pellegrino.
Hey, Rucka. What's up, man?
Not much. Pretty excited. And we've got our resident intellectual chief strategist, I believe, / co-host / host. It's the legendary Don Watkins.
Hey, guys.
So I know we have sort of an arbitrary number of categories here. It's just kind of like, here's what I liked from this year. Is that the basic idea? Nikos, do you have a better explanation than that for what we're doing today? Or am I correct?
It's completely whim-driven and non-organized at all. But some categories are, so people can also super chat us about their topic. So we've got top objectivist of the year, favorite objectivist of the year, which is not the same, most important development of the year in objectivism, what we won't miss from the year, so what we didn't like this year, maybe our 3 best daily objectives of the year, favorite objectivist on Twitter, most interesting or memorable thing that we learned this year or we changed our mind this year, the best new entry, and our favorite guest are some of the categories that we have.
In other words, it's like Basketball. Have any of you seen the movie Basketball with Trey Parker and Matt Stone? Where they kind of make up this blend of baseball, basketball, and soccer or kickball. They just kind of blend it all together. That's kind of what we're doing here with awards. So if any of you want to super chat us either who or what you think deserves an award or a category, throw at us, and we'll try to come up with ours on the spot. I guess, Nikos, do you want to get us started with one of your categories and or winners?
Okay, so I will start with the category of who was, I think, the top objectivist of the year. So the person who did best this year. The answer is not going to be super controversial or super original, but I would say definitely Yaron. Mostly because of that Friedman 3-hour interview with Michael Malice. So that was the one thing. The other thing is that I think that it was his best year in terms of clarity, in terms of performance, in terms of also doing many debates with people from the other side. This is something that also we contributed, Razik and the Ayn Rand Center UK contributed with the debates, Yaron versus Europe. So I really liked the Wolf interview, but particularly the 3-hour Yaron, Lex Friedman, Michael Malice thing was the best piece of content in terms of entertainment value and knowledge ratio that I consumed in 2021. So the award for this year goes to Yaron Brook.
And that was best objectivist?
Yes.
Cool. I mean, yeah, go on.
I know, I would agree with that. And I would also add that I thought his debate against a conservative was really, really important too, because it's important that objectivists distinguish themselves from the establishment right And that was a very important debate, as were all of his debates, because I think they really generated a lot of interest in crowds that would normally not read objectivism.
I'm going to defer, and at the risk of criticizing, or not even criticizing, I agree with everything you guys said. And in fact, if we were going to have a separate category for best interview not on ARCUK for the year, I certainly would have given it to Yaron for the Michael Malice interview. But my top objectivist for the year, and this is the second year running, even though it's the first year we're doing the awards, I have to give it to Amos Adelja, who I think has courageously and effectively fought for good science on such a crucial life and death issue as COVID the last 2 years, and has taken on a torrent of criticism, not just from the culture in very scary ways, but from within the objectivist world. And I think being able to withstand that and remain committed to trying to articulate his best understanding of the science and how to deal with the pandemic, I'm going to give him the edge, not to take anything away from Yaron. And indeed, my message to the world continues to be buy Yaron's books. They're amazing.
Yeah, especially his co-author as well. Now, we should disclaim, I should disclaim, there's going to be a lot of people left out of today's show, and that's really nothing personal. It's just like we gotta. I mean,
it might be personal.
It might be
personal.
It could be personal at times, but often it's not, or in some cases it won't be personal. Okay, I guess my favorite, or not my favorite, but objectivist of the year. I like how we're starting the award show with arguably the most climactic category. I guess I'll say best objectivist of the year is the Super Chatters. Like when Time Magazine started giving the award, the Time Person of the Year to the protester.
Oh, I thought when they had the mirror, they shut up.
They did that. Yeah.
You are the person of the year.
I think the first time they played a game with that cat thing was the protester. They didn't even bother naming anybody. It was just the protester. They did that 10 years ago. So yeah, there you go. The Super Chatters, whether or not you consider yourselves objectivists, I'm going to go ahead and give you the award. And I hope you choose to live up to it in your intellectual future. All right.
Let's keep pandering. Come on, guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you. No. All right. Let's read a couple super chats. Speaking of, Jonathan Honig with 99 cents. Thank you for that. Sammy is bored again with 99 pence. Kiana with $10. Kiana Pellegrino with $10 says, hi, everyone. Hope your year was fantastic. Well, thank you. Robert with 269 says, so many hosts, all-star cast. Super chat's hard. Robert again with $5 says, you're on. Okay, but Don Watkins published a book. He podcasted.
Oh, Robert stole my thunder, man. All right.
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Just shouldn't have read the super chat.
He gave us a couple of bucks.
He podcasted, hosted, guested. He provided some of the best ARCUK content with his workshops. And then Sammy's board again with 449 pounds says, passing out marshmallows to toast in front of that cozy looking fire. And Roland with 449 euros says, essay discussion man of the year, James Valiant. All right. Allison then with $5 says, Nikos, your fireplace looks cozy, and damn straight us super chatters are awesome. Not only awesome, but objectivist of the year. Roland with $4.99 says, podcast of the year is ingenuism. Marilyn with $2 says, here's to doctors Adalja and Brooke. That's right. Yaron Brooke is a doctor. I don't know if any of you guys knew this. If you pass out on an airplane, he's the guy you want to ask for help. I'm kidding, of course. He's a PhD, which is not quite the same, but still impressive. All right. So that was.
Are we entering the Don appreciation section of the show?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, Mark, you start.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say.
By the way, guys, I did not expect one of these, and I certainly did not secretly fund it behind the scenes.
I got a text from somebody saying I was going to get some money today for this endorsement, but I'll just pretend I didn't. But no, look, I think Don is the breakout objectivist of the year. I think he's now blazing ground in one of the most important areas that objectivists need to go, and that is in the fiction world. People can listen to Yaron talk all day, and some of that medicine ain't going to go down unless it's in a narrative that's really easily digestible, and they don't know that they're taking that bit of philosophy in while they're reading a great story. So I think this is the beginning of something very, very important for us. Since Rand, I mean, maybe I'm just not familiar with all the objectivists out there who have done fiction, but this is the place where we really need to explode, and where our philosophy can really be taken in. And Don, you did a great job with that book. As I told you, it's one of the few fiction books that I dog-eared, tons of pages. There's tons of stuff in there that I can use as fuel every day for my life. And I think anybody who reads that book is going to find the same kind of stuff in there. So good job.
So I didn't know that Don would be in the show. So I have him in more than one categories, one of which is cheesy. So I'll skip the favorite objectivist of the year because, again, it's going to be awkward. But I do have Don in other categories, one of which is my favorite objectivist to follow on Twitter. And there I have Kirk Wilcox, who is a guy who has an interesting account. He posts memes and all that stuff. And the reason I have Kirk and Don is because their Twitter accounts are relatively different from the average account that only posts like hot takes on philosophy or politics. So Don, receiving the award of the best objectivist on Twitter, what would be your acceptance speech in terms of what are you doing right on Twitter, and what can people learn from your Twitter experience? And then you can also reply to Mark's awards.
Well, I mean, maybe the best way to do it is to name. So my favorite person on Twitter is an objectivist objectivist on Twitter is a guy named Matt Bateman, objectivist philosopher who works for higher learning or higher ground education, which is a chain of Montessori schools. And they do a lot of cool stuff. And I like Matt for very much the same reason that I think like I do some very similar to what I try to do on Twitter, which is just he's not promoting kind of a message that's external to him. Like, here's the pipeline of objectivist content. He's a person who's really interesting, who shares his thoughts, which involve philosophy, they involve humor, they involve like just really interesting angles on education and what's happening in technology. And so part of what I try to do on Twitter is just this is me. Like, this is how I'm going to interact with the world on Twitter. And a lot of what I do is aimed at like, what I think is impactful in terms of spreading ideas is to have interesting people advocating, embodying those ideas. And so the more that you can actually like have your personality come across, I think that is really valuable. And I see fiction as just kind of an extension of that, is I have more to say than just here's what Ayn Rand thought, even though I think what Ayn Rand thought is so crucially important. It's here's how I see the world, which has been informed by her. It's been informed by a lot of things. And so I think the more that we can have distinctive voices doing distinctive things on social media, in storytelling, in art generally, like all of these areas, having real people that people want to connect with and follow, that is super impactful. And it's just way more fun.
So Matt Bateman, indeed, you can see him tweeting about his family, then something about education, then something completely random. So I think these are the people who are doing something right, where it's genuinely interesting and you don't just get something that, oh, this is the guy who only talks about this. And this is an important category because I think objectivists on Twitter are not it's not our strong game, people. So we need to be better.
Well, Twitter is not doesn't really lend itself to, nuanced and well articulated philosophical content. Kind of by design, Twitter is sort of the belly of the beast of this short attention span and like slam dunk, ponage, try to embarrass your opponent by mocking them and paraphrasing them in a mocking way. Like, Twitter really is a big part of the problem, but obviously it can be used for good, but it's very difficult to make your point eloquently and for it to reach an audience on something like Twitter. But yes, the aforementioned are doing a great job at it. Alex Epstein is on Twitter again as well, and doing the heavy lifting. And can I jump over to a new category now? I guess favorite event. Let's say Epstein versus AOC. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one that I completely forgot about, but I think is, Alex has done a lot of cool stuff this year. I mean, what he's done on Twitter is he's really taken high, like really rich content in terms of a lot of research, a lot of really well packaged talking points that have helped clarify like 1,000 different energy issues. And if you look at what's happening with them, I mean, he's getting some of, a bunch of viral Twitter threads as a result of it. And I think that combined with things like the AOC stunt are kind of, they're so underappreciated that I didn't even think about them. And I probably think about what Alex is up to more than any other person in objectivism.
And also, I just want to put more props in Alex's court, because I hear his thoughts and his words now coming out of pundits and thinkers that are also talking about energy. They're using all of his thoughts now. So he's saturating the media in a really, really positive way.
Yeah. Any other favorite events of the year that anybody comes to mind for anyone?
When you say favorite events, would it be relevant to the most important, let's say, moment in objectivism of the year?
Like I invented this category?
Okay. So for me, the biggest development in the year is the announcement about the Unrun University. So in terms of, we've been talking for years that university, higher education is one of the most corrupt, morally corrupt, intellectually corrupt institutions in the West. And we were thinking, who is going to do something about it? Who is going to be the Uber of universities? And here you've got Tal Tzvani saying, I'm going to do this. So I think the Ayn Rand University was, for me, the most exciting event of the year. It was the reason why it made me accelerate my decision to leave conventional academia. And irrespective of whether it will work or whether it will not work, it was a movement to the right direction. And it was something, it's good that it's something from our people who did that. It's something from someone from our people who said, enough, I need to do something about it. Not the only ones. We saw also other moves towards that. The University of Austin, that was newly announced. But for me, the moment of the year was Tal announcing the Ayn Rand University.
That's pretty big. Wow. Just the fact that there's just so many stuff we all forgot about is a real testament to just how big an interest in objectivism and just like objectivist related content has grown. I know it's not like all of it's going to be perfect or even, true to the philosophy. Of course, the internet allows anyone to say anything. But I remember Don tweeted, speaking of objectivists on Twitter, Don tweeted, like, we went to a point now where like there's too much to even keep up with, like in terms of objectivist content. And yeah, I remember back in the day, I would search Ayn Rand on the internet, and we had some interviews on Donahue, and you had a young Yaron Brook, with probably dark hair and holding up his iPhone 1 and giving his lecture. And like flash forward to today, I mean, even just on ARCUK, I can't keep up with. We got Harry Binswanger, like just James Valiant, just so much content. It's like there's not enough hours in the day. So isn't that nice? I mean, it kind of like it. I mean, it's a microcosm for entertainment in general. Sorry, I know I'm speaking for a long time, but remember back in the day when it's like there's nothing to watch on TV? Remember back when if you're on TV, like you're playing Doogie Howser, you're a household name. Flash forward to today, you could be the star of like a Hulu show, but like people that like there's like 1,000 other streaming services and all these other entertainment happening. No one can keep up with everything. It's like the world has changed. All right.
Yeah. I mean, the way I think about it, so this definitely, I was on my list, Nikos as well, was, the thing that ARI has been astoundingly good at since its inception has been training people who want to know more about Ayn Rand's philosophy to really master it and be able to advocate it. And they've been very effective. And so to kind of triple down on that and say, look, what we're about is training. We're going to expand it. We're going to improve it even more. We're going to take what we're already strong at and make it better. I think that's kind of the foundation that makes everything else possible. And the everything else then is that all of these people are trained, then have to go up there and figure out, how do I influence energy? How do I create stories that, the public will want to read? And that's kind of like the next barrier is all of these people who are training. We really have to learn, like, how do you make use of the philosophy in a way that impacts the culture? And so one of the things that I'm thinking a lot about now is just the whole phenomenon of how do you grab attention in a culture that's saturated, not just in objectivist content, but in all content. And as we've talked about, like, the competition for attention is insane today. And so it's going to be, we need that solid foundation of philosophy, because that's only the first step towards, okay, now take that and do something that's going to really make an impact in the culture. And that's why, we're kind of in experimental mode where a lot of people, we're all trying out different things. We're seeing what works, what doesn't. And that's a cool place to be at, but it's even cooler if you project 5 years when we all start, when hopefully more and more of us figure out, okay, what's really clicking? How do I really take it to the next level? And I think that's a challenge a lot of us are working on solving at this point.
Yeah. Nikos, Mark, or Don, do you have another award to give out, or should I go ahead?
Time for the difficult one that no one else will do. Mm-hmm. What we will not miss from this year within objectivism.
Oh, within objectivism. All right. So, because my number one thing is I'm not going to miss the Phillies having another season where they didn't make the playoffs, but I guess that's not very interesting to anybody.
So what I have in mind is not only the drama within different institutions, but mostly the drama after January the 6th. So I know it was a traumatic period for my relationship with some even friends, the different ways that people reacted to that, and the discussion that started, who is the biggest threat? Is it the right? Is it the left? The drama in the social media, that was definitely the one time of the year that when it comes to our community, it's the one period that I got pissed off with people. And in retrospect, it was a good exercise in how not to fall into tribal thinking, speaking about myself, and how often give it some time and don't jump on a topic while it's still hot. And as people know, my take was that January 6th was not such a big thing. In terms of historical context, I still stand by my take on that point. But yeah, these days were not the most pleasant ones community-wise.
The thing I'm not going to miss from this year was we did an episode about BAP, right? Bronze Age pervert. That was Nikos and myself. And then, of course, Twitter. We got swarmed by a bunch of tweets, and their thing is like fans of that world, whatever. I'm still not entirely sure what BAP even is, but his minions were like sending us pictures of half-clothed muscular men. And everyone's got a different insult or a different explanation of what BAP even is that they're tweeting at us. And my rule was, I said, nobody reply to these people. Do not reply. No comebacks, no arguments. Just avoid eye contact and keep moving. Trust me on this. These people have nothing to lose. But like one of them tweeted saying, we like BAP because it's fun to read, okay? Because it's fun to read, lighten up. And I'm thinking, no. You're not about to play that card now, okay? You're not, after your people sent us a bunch of pictures of naked men, you're not going to now talk to us like we're the weird ones for not having a sense of humor. You guys are absolutely insane. So that's something
the BAP episode for me was also an eye-opener. First of all, it was interesting that the people who were coming at us clearly didn't see the episode, because as we always do with people with whom we disagree, we try to be as fair as possible. But also, it made me think that the NPC meme, which was created for the left, also now applies to the right, that we have people reacting in the same way and in the same almost hysterical manner. And Rucka, you told me, or you didn't tell me, but I saw it with my eyes, that when you appeared in some other, let's say, dissident rights channels and platforms, we saw something similar in the comments. People jumping with the same accusations, with the same kind of hysteric attitude, and operating like NPCs. That one person says something and then everyone else repeats it as a megaphone. So this was a development this year, that the many in the right became the meme that they created for the left.
Oh yeah, that was the Tim Pool podcast. So like in a couple of hours, I participated in the most viral thing I probably ever would do in terms of views per hour per day. And in terms of probably objectivists, no, maybe the PragerU stuff could beat it in terms of how fast it got views. But yeah, the chat room on Tim Pool's podcast. Now Tim and his team were very appreciative and they were very accommodating. But like the chat room and the comments, these people have no sense of humor. And I've seen this, try criticizing Trump, making fun of Trump, or making fun of Republicans, criticizing Republicans. I mean, these people have become, of course, I'm generalizing. Each one of them has free will and it might have a nuanced behavior. But largely, you can see that this movement has become everything they set out to make fun of in the first place. They said the left has no sense of humor. The left are collectivists. The left are just, ugly and insulting. And these people are acting like a mob. And I'm not impressed. Moving along.
Okay. Other categories.
Mm-hmm. So why don't we talk about favorite episodes of the Daily Objective? How about that? Since we're all here. Why don't I go first? My favorite episode that comes to mind, and I mean, there's a hard to pick. I actually think a lot of my solo episodes are my favorite, and other many episodes that were not solo are also really favorite. But I mean, one that actually comes to mind is Mark and I did an episode commemorating John Ridpath, which I think among other things is a great example of us like just kind of rising to the occasion and sort of improvising on a topic neither of us is necessarily like well rehearsed or well versed on, but we made it, we like as entertainers and as performers and as people who care about what we're working on, I think we really rose to the occasion. And they had some very sweet moments in there. I remember just talking about John Ridpath and played a couple clips of him from an interview. So that there was an episode that I think was very memorable.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't officially a Daily Objective, but I just have to say that a highlight of my year, let alone my year consuming content on the channel, was Lisa Van Dam's Fireside with Leonard Peikoff. I thought it was just so delightful and pure joy and had a lot of depth to it. I think Leonard gave us some emotional moments as well as some just kind of fun, delightful ones. And so I think the fact that we were able to facilitate that discussion was a real treat for everybody. And it was one of my favorite appearances by Leonard that I've seen in recent memory.
That was definitely the biggest moment of ARC UK, and that they had for a second consecutive year, Leonard Peikoff. My favorite, so first of all, no offense, I enjoy also the solo episodes because I prepare them and they have a special place in my heart. But the episode I did with Rucka and Mark, why Twitter is wrong about Ayn Rand. So what we did in that episode, we collected all the myths about Ayn Rand. She died poor. She needed social security because she was penniless. She hated the poor and all that stuff. And we have an episode where there's very good content in terms of how to oppose the usual BS, the usual lazy stuff that you're going to hear about Ayn Rand. So that was definitely my favorite episode of the year. Mark, anything that comes to mind?
I can't come up with anything. I just enjoy talking with you guys here pretty much every time. So yeah, those episodes were great. I have great memories of them, and I don't know that I can contribute anything more. Every episode is special to me. So
celebrate the year by rewatching every single episode.
Yes, rewatch.
I have an idea. How about a marathon, TDO marathon? Someone can edit them all together and we'll premiere it on the channel over New Year's or something like that. A full 24 hours of the top 24 episodes.
Well, I just think we could really make life easier for ourselves, that we can just turn into a reacts channel for the next year where Mark can react to all of last year's daily objectives and just go, that one was great.
Yeah.
Okay, favorite guest.
Ooh.
So it can't be one of us. And we cannot say
that's easy. Yeah, it can be one of us. I'm kidding. But no, my favorite by, hands down, no contest, was the writer, producer of The Little Rascals and Liar Liar, Mr. Gay.
Yeah, Paul Gay. Yeah.
Paul Gay. I mean, to me, that movie, The Little Rascals, was like life-changing. Of course, as a kid, it was a huge deal to me. And it was very benevolent. And then Liar Liar was like an exceptionally rational movie. Like it very much showed why dishonesty doesn't pay and honesty does pay. And of course, and lo and behold, all these years later, I know who Ayn Rand is, and I know that the creator of Liar Liar was an objectivist. So talking to him was a real treat. Although one thing I forgot to do, I didn't think of doing, is when we got $1 in the super chat, I should have said, "We've got $1. We've got $1. We've got $1. Hey, 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 hey," which is from The Little Rascals, to anyone who's confused by that.
It's the one thing I remember from the movie.
There you go. Well, that's how memorable it is. But hopefully we'll have him on in the new year so I can, do that. All right. Favorite guest? Anybody else? Any?
I would say Paul as well. Also because it sort of began a friendship with him, and he took one of my scripts and tore it apart and gave me some great insights. He's a great mind. He was great to bounce off of him during that show and talk inside baseball and movies and plot, all the stuff that a lot of the creators out there who are watching could really get value out of. He was awesome. I like James Valiant too. I like it when he comes on and talks about stuff.
Yeah, and so it is hard to pick favorites. I guess, well, Mark, since you couldn't think of a favorite episode, why don't we make your favorite when we first introduced the writers of the strike here on the channel?
Okay, yeah, all right, I'll take that.
It was a good episode. All right, and
let
Nikos?
me make an honorable mention to Yasmin Mohammed. She's the one who had this campaign against the hijab, and she had this very moving story. So for two reasons: A, she was, let's say, the quote biggest name that she appeared on the show, but also she was so benevolent in terms of then promoting it. So I really appreciate it when you have someone who is, a big name, and they go to a small podcast, but then they appreciate the fact that there was an interesting discussion and they try to promote it. I felt very as I have received benevolence from someone who appreciated what we do. So Yasmin Mohammed, thank you. You were my favorite guest this year.
All right. Any other categories? I guess this is sort of backing away from ARCUK and more like objectivism in general. But I think the Ayn Rand Institute, with their weekly podcast or near weekly podcast, has really been very useful and very good. ARI. So ARI is not the same as ARC. ARC, we've got kind of both. We've got very, very well-trained intellectuals such as Don and James. And then we've got like what I consider myself to be, which is kind of a fan whose life goal is not intellectual study, but who's very passionate about it. And we've kind of got some of both going on. ARI, it's like you really got to, anyone they put on their channel representing ARI is very well trained in the impression I get. So I really appreciate the New Ideal podcast that they've been doing weekly.
This was a good year for ARI, and that's not because they had me in New Ideal.
Oh yeah,
I think there's
they did have you on. Speaking of very well-trained people, sorry, Don, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it's easy to take for granted or forget the fact that I was talking to Yaron about this, where I was saying, Yaron, if you would have told me even 2 years ago, there would come a time when I wouldn't have consumed everything Onkar was putting out publicly, I would not believe you. But they've just been so consistent about having, not just content by really smart people, but often really interesting stuff, and often very quickly. It used to be you'd get an attack article by Ayn Rand, and 5 months later we go, oh, maybe we should respond to this. And now it's like overnight, they'll, if there's anything catching fire philosophically, and certainly Ayn Rand related, you'll get really good breakdowns of it. And so, yeah, I've been completely impressed. And I think having just such a range of content, not just the quantity, but you have the kind of philosophic stuff they're doing, the whole mixture of stuff we're doing, and everything in between. It's a fun time to be a consumer of ideas right now.
Yeah.
So go on.
Well, our super chat is getting blown up. People are breaking their back to get involved in this. Should I read some super chats? All right. Marilyn with $2 says, best host, Jonathan, Rucka, Nikos, Mark, and Don. Oh, that's nice. By the way, Objectivist of the Year. I said the super chatters. I changed it. It's clearly Marilyn. Okay. Please, I changed my award. Marilyn again with $5. Maria, who you may know from the channel, with €5 says, to more great moments, events, and content in the new year. Hope everyone is ready to start 2022 strong. I'm not, but hope you guys are. Sammy is bored again with 99 pence. Enric with $9.99 says, yes, art can reach further and faster, providing what's possible in life, changing the culture. Tazy with 179 pounds says, biggest happy surprise of 2021, go. Marilyn with $2 says, my favorite event was Ocon in Austin. Marilyn again with $5 says, agree that the announcement of Ayn Rand University was the most important moment in objectivism. Brian Bonar with $5 says, my favorite moment was at Ocon when Yaron paraphrased Rand's reply to Binswanger, quote, we only have one Leonard Peikoff and we will take over the world. Robert.
I wish someone made the short clip about it. Oh, I did. You can find it in Ayn Rand Global's Facebook or Twitter channel, but that was indeed a great moment. That was the finishing lines of Yaron in his Opar talk, which is perhaps the best talk as an individual lecture of the year. The opening talk in Ocon by Yaron. Go and check it.
Yeah, I like that also in the spirit of rising to the occasion and talking about something that you were called upon to talk about. I think that's not what Yaron is used to talking about. He spoke about Opar, the book, and I thought really, really did a great job. Robert with $5 says, best problem of the year. So much good objectivist content's being produced. I want to consume it all, but there's not enough time to take it all in. Kathleen with £5 says, congratulations on a great year for ARCUK. Looking forward to more and hope to see you all again for another BroCon. All right. Kiana with $10 says, Mark Pellegrino deserves an award as well. Even though trolls and haters seem to always attack him, he still spreads truth and reason. Oh, that's nice.
And a little bit of profanity.
A little bit. Marilyn with $2 says, always ignore the trolls. Louise with £20 says, I learned about objectivism from Mark. That kind of life-changing intro is pretty hard to beat, so he's definitely my favorite objectivist. I'm sorry, Louise, you misspelled favorite. There's no U in that word. Please resend the super chat. I'm just kidding. All right, Sam with 50 SEKs. I think that's Norwegian.
Thanks, Lou. Hey, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Sam, for the 50 Norwegian krones. Is that what SEK is, or is that Swedish? I guess it sounds Swedish. Who knows? Who cares? Thank you for the donation anyway. Regina with €50 says, one of my funniest moments on TDO was Big Tech, where Rucka stucks. I think when it like froze and glitched, and I was like, oh, there we go.
That was great. Oh my God.
Do you use like references in your mind if like on set, if you need to laugh, you think of that, or if you need to cry, you'll think of something tragic?
Sometimes, yeah. And that is one of my go-tos.
That's beautiful. I'll just wait for my residual check in the mail for all of you. All right. Apollo with £3 says, because of the newcomer to the chat. All right. Tazy with £449 says, consumer of ideas, and also the right to create your own ideas, strengthen your own thinking without too much woke inference. ... Oh, and I skipped one. Mary Aline with $5 says, my favorite episode is Rucka's interview of Ibis, Cudwy, and Austin. They called Rucka sir. Damn right. That was a great episode, and it was actually the day before my favorite. So it was the day before we did the Ridpath Memorial. I interviewed the objectivists of TikTok. I remember it was the day before. That was a wonderful episode. Those guys, they now, a couple of them have a show here on the network, Method and Madness. I know it's hard to give an award to everyone, but I'll go ahead and give them an award right now. They're youthful and they care, you know.
I have the award here. I have it here. So
Oh, well, go
it's
ahead.
where is it? Oh, best new entry, the Aporia guys.
That's a great breakout stars, breakout entries into the scene. People ask, like, how do we keep this philosophy from getting corrupted by all the kooks out there? Well, I say if somebody cares more about the truth than they care about their own ulterior motives, then they're going to do a great job. And that's the vibe I get from the Aporia Institute guys. Is they're more concerned with truth than they are with prestige or anything like that. And that's how you got to do that. Go ahead.
Definitely check out the last episode where they've kind of taken their show, Method and Madness, I think it's called, in kind of a new direction, and kind of boiled it down to 15 minutes of just super strong content. And I think they're doing some cool stuff. One other person I want to mention, and I've only seen him once, but I was pretty impressed. So Objectivist Philosopher is a junior fellow at ARI, Tristan Delege, I think his last name is, did a Q&A a few months back. And I was just really impressed with the quality of his answers and the kind of insight he had into the things that came up in the interview. And it's just always amazing when you realize, oh, there's somebody who's like really good and I didn't already hear about them. And I'm pretty plugged into the objectivist world. So like, I think there is way more talent out there than we sometimes think, or, than I certainly sometimes think. And I already know that there's a lot of talent. So, finding out that there's somebody with kind of real philosophic depth who is also really pleasant to listen to as he articulates these ideas. Hopefully we'll be hearing more from him in the coming years.
So people know that the Annual Institute, their team of junior fellows, is somewhere in the double digits, I think. So I've lost count of how many good people are up and coming. So if you think about it in football terms, think about it, it's La Masia, which is going to give the new great players to Barcelona. If you don't follow football, you're not going to get the reference.
I mean, yeah, there's some very, very exciting, promising young talent emerging in ARI from whatever I've been able to see. Mike Matza, Sam Weaver. I mean, various. I'm leaving out many of them. Various people.
Kasper, Zimovic, Agustina. Who am I forgetting? Many.
And these are not, these are not YouTubers. These guys are seriously well trained and qualified, and they're rising to a much higher bar than let's say someone like me or many other people need to just activate their webcam and start running their mouth. So I mean, there's a time and place for all, but I'm saying like these guys are the real deal. All right. Any other awards? We're almost out of time, basically. Got more super chats, and it's 12:44 or it's 44.
Yeah,
after
let's
the
go
hour.
only with super chats. Yeah, I don't think there's any.
Sammy is bored again with 99 pence. Robert with $2 says, but for 2022, is there anything left to say? Oh, believe me, we got surprises from what I've picked up this channel and probably beyond. There's going to be lots to talk about a year from now. Allison with $5 says, Antoine does awesome book clubs about Don's book. I've been part of all of them. He deserves an award for being friendly, patient, and really interactive. That's right. So members of ARCUK have access to content that I think would really blow anyone away. So, we really haven't plugged it enough. Let's say, actually, they get Objectivist of the Year just for being members. Congratulations. If any of you want to do a acceptance speech, just grab the Zoom link and jump on. All right. That's all the time we have. I know we barely scratched the surface of all the great moments and great people. Honorable mention are actually here in the announcements today. Coming up at 7 p.m. UK time, or top of the hour, in other words, 15 minutes from now, it's Enjoy Parenting with Lisa Van Dam, and discussing step parenting with, you'll never guess who. I can't believe they got this guy, Mark Pellegrino, who I think won a couple awards here tonight. Pretty incredible. So that's coming up. And then at 10 p.m. UK time, it's Life on Earth with Robert and Amy Naser. And the subject today, or the episode, is called Kindred Spirits. And all of us here are kindred spirits, and all of you watching at home are our kindred spirits. Thank you, everybody, for such a wonderful and prosperous year. Prosperous meaning not necessarily financially, but spiritually prosperous. One more super chat. Speaking of the material kind, Sammy with 449 says, waiting on a Rucka Stuck parody featuring Mark. All right, Mark, we'll talk. All right. No clubhouse today. Is that a fair thing? All right. No clubhouse today. Thank you, everyone, guys. This was a lot of fun talking to you guys and reminiscing. Let's see what this next year brings about. Good Lord. Every year it gets more ridiculous in the world. And the only possible good news is that the objectivists are strengthening their game every year as well. Bonnie with the last minute $2 says, I tuned in late. I know you must have said Rozzy. Oh, of course. Well, that goes without saying. Rozzy wins every single award aforementioned, and best network owner and producer. And I'm going to say Rozzy actually wins best host. So you know what that means. The people want to see more of that.
Hey, he was a great co-host on TV Talk.
Yeah, you guys did the Mad Men, and I actually have TV Talk here on the list of things I didn't get to. TV Talk has been a wonderful, like Don.
One last thing for Rozzy. He's the guy who's gonna slack you at 6 a.m, and you don't know whether he woke up early to work or he went late to bed because he's still working. So
that seems like a very, very particular detail about Rozzy to tell everybody watching. But yes,
it's super important. It tells you everything you need to know about the guy.
Yeah, it does. All right. Well, thank you all, and see you back. See you, more later today, and see you back here tomorrow for the final TDO of the year. And this one will be good. And